Hello guys and welcome. In this particular video we are going to discuss CVP analysis with multiple products. That is when a company sells more than one product. When we have multiple product CVP analysis, we have two methods to solve the question. Either we have to use constant mix approach or we have to use the ranking approach. Depending upon whether the company sells the products in a constant mix or it sells the product by setting up priority based on contribution per unit or contribution to sales ratio. What are these two methods? For that, we need to go through this example and it will be more clear once we solve this question. In this particular question, a company sells three products, product A, B, and C, with different selling prices, different variable cost, and different contributions. The budgeted sales demand for each of the three products are 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. And if the company sells these products in a constant mix, that constant mix is going to be 20%, 30%, and 50%. But that is only in case the company uses a constant mix approach. The total fixed costs are $56,000 and we need to find out break-even sales units, break-even sales revenue, margin of safety. And we have to use both constant mix approach and ranking approach. So let's first start with the constant mix approach, where we are assuming that the company will be selling all these three products in a constant mix right from the very start. Which means that if it sells two units of product A, then it has to sell 3 units of product B along with that and 5 units of product C. So it's 2:3:5. So when we are using constant mix approach, all we have to do is to calculate weighted average values. And these weighted average values should be weighted average selling price, weighted average variable cost, weighted average contribution. So we have to calculate these three weighted average values. And to find out these values, we have to use the weightages given in the question. Now, the price of product A is 10, and we intend to sell 20% out of the total sales of product A. So all we have to do is to pick up the price of the product, multiply it with the ratio of the product, plus the next product multiplied with the ratio, then the next product and multiplied with the ratio. So the weighted average price will be $19. We are selling one of the products at $10 price and the other at 25. The weighted average of all these three products will be $19. The alternative approach is to use the sales figures. For that, what we need to do is to find out the budgeted sales first. 10 into 2000. It will give us the total sales figure for product A, the budgeted sales figure. 15 multiplied by 3000 for B, and 25 into 5000. So once we have calculated the total sales figure, the budgeted sales figure, all we have to do is to divide the budgeted sales figure by the total number of units. So we can use the Excel formula of some product for this as well. We want to multiply these figures one by all these figures to find out the budgeted sales figure. So we can apply some product formula in Excel, for which we need to first select the first row. Here we go. Then we need to select the second row with which each of these values have to be multiplied. And if we enter, it will give us the total sales revenue figure of all three products, the budgeted sales revenue figure. And after we have calculated this, we need to make it an average figure by dividing it by the total number of units sold. So this will have to be divided by the total number of units. That is the sum of all the units, 10,000 units. If we divide it by the 10,000 units, it will give us the same answer, that is $19. So the weighted average price is $19. Then we need to calculate the weighted average variable cost. For that, I want you to pause this video for a while, just repeat what we have done in case of selling price and find out the weighted average variable cost. And then unpause the video and look for the solution. So I hope you have done it. So now we have to multiply these variable costs one by one, either by the percentage values, that is the mix, or by the demand values. But in case of the demand values, we have to divide it by the sum of the demand as well to find out the average value. So we can apply some product formula to make things easier for us. Select these values and then select either these values or these values. In case of these values, you don't have to divide it by anything. You will get this answer straight away. But in case you are using the demand values, so firstly we have to multiply this value with the demand, this value with the demand, and this value with demand, and add them together. And then at the end, we have to divide it by the sum of these values as well. But in case of the percentage values, we don't have to divide it by anything. Right? So let me do it without the Excel formula as well. Just pick up this variable cost figure, multiply it with this ratio, then pick the next variable cost figure and multiply it with the same products ratio, and then product C's variable cost multiplied by the ratio of product C, and just add $11. So the weighted average variable cost is $11. Now, if you need to find out the weighted average contribution, you have two ways. Either you multiply these values with these percentages like we did in case of a variable cost and selling price. Or the other way will be, since we have already calculated the average price and average variable cost, we just simply need to subtract the variable cost from the selling price to get the weighted average contribution. So both ways are acceptable. So now we have got weighted average contribution as well. Now we can find out the weighted average CS ratio, contribution to sales ratio. Simple ratio, which means what is contribution as a percentage of our sales figure. So here we go. It's 41% approximately, or 40.53% to be very precise. So the weighted average, that is contribution, is 40.53% of our sales value. So we have calculated all these weighted average values. Now we need to use these values to calculate break even. Now, as you all know, the formula for calculating break even sale units is total fixed cost divided by contribution per unit. That is the formula that we all know for calculating break even. Now, in a single product's CVP analysis, the total fixed cost will be divided with that single product's contribution per unit. But here we have 3 products. So in case of 3 products, and we are using constant mix, we need to use the weighted average value. So fixed costs in this case are $56,000 and should not be divided by either of the contribution of these 3 products. Rather, it should be divided by the average contribution figure. That's it. And the average contribution per unit figure is $7272.7273. So we should round it off to 0 decimal place. So in order to achieve break even for this company, it has to sell 7273 units in total, of which product A should be 20%. This is what we decided. Product B should be 30%, and product C should be 50%, half of this. So these should be the units of individual products. So now we have calculated the total number of units that a company needs to achieve break even and individual units of each product. So this is how we find out total break even units and individual units for each of the three products using constant mix. Then the next thing is to calculate the break even sales revenue, total and product wise. Now, break even sales revenue. Break even sales revenue in dollars could be calculated by using this formula: total fixed cost divided by CS ratio. This was the same in case of single product CVP as well. All we have to do is to use the weighted average figure for the CS ratio. So weighted average CS ratio was 40.53%. So just divide it, and that's the total revenue that you need to generate in order to cover your fixed costs or to be at break even. So all we had to do was to divide our total fixed cost by the weighted average contribution to sales ratio. And if you need to find out it on a product by product basis, just pick up each of the product units that we calculated in step 1 and multiply it with the price of the same product, that is 10. If we are selling 1455 units at the rate of 10, the total revenue from A will be 1445.45. A bit complicated figure. So 2182 into 15, and then comes the third product 3636 multiplied by 25. And if I add, just for the sake of confirmation, if I add these three figures, this should be equal to 1381812. Here we go. 13818.1.2. So the total revenue figure, if it is required directly, then we should use the formula. Otherwise, we should simply multiply the units of each of the three products by the prices of three products to get the revenue figure on a product by product basis. So this is what we need to generate in case we want to be at break even. Now, it's easy to find out the third requirement, which is to find out margin of safety, both in units and dollars. Let's first find out in units. So margin of safety, the total will be simply the difference of break-even sales and budgeted sales. Budgeted sales figures are given on a product by product basis, so we have to sum all of these to get the total budgeted sales figure. And from this, we need to subtract the total break-even sales figure, which was 7273. Here we go. That's the margin of safety figure in units. So the total budgeted sales figure was 10,000. That means if we sell 10,000 units, we will be making profit. But in case we are selling just 7273 units, we won't be making any profit whatsoever. So the difference of the two will be the margin of safety for the company. Similarly, if we need to find out total margin of safety in revenue, for that we need to find out the total sales revenue figure first. And then from this, we have to subtract the break-even sales revenue figure. So the total sales revenue figure could be calculated by using the sum product formula. And for that, we need to multiply price with the units, price with the units, price with the units, and add them together. So a short formula in Excel is to select one row that you have to multiply it with the other row. So it will first multiply these values with these values, and then will calculate the sum of all these. So it's $190,000. So the budgeted sales revenue figure is $190,000. From this, we need to subtract the break-even sales revenue figure. And 51818 will be the margin of safety revenue. And sometimes the examiner may ask you to find out the percentage of margin of safety. Find out the margin of safety in percentage. For that, what you have to do is to pick up the margin of safety figure and divide it by the budgeted sales figures, that 1,90,000 figure. So 51818 divided by 190,000, the budgeted sales figure, and you will get the margin of safety in form of percentage. So we have 27.27% margin if we are generating a sales of $190,000. So we have solved this question assuming constant mix. Now let us calculate the same values, break-even sales units, margin of safety, using the ranking approach. Ranking approach, in which we have to rank the products based on either per unit contribution basis or CS ratio basis. So both could be used. So let me do it on the basis of CS ratio first. So I'll have to just copy this here, and I just need to calculate CS ratio for each of the three products. For this, I need to pick the contribution of the product and divide it by the price of the product to find out what's the percentage contribution. It's 0.6, and let me copy and paste all these here. So in this case, we are generating $5 contribution divided by 15. It is 0.33. And let's convert these figures into percentage by either multiplying by 100 or using this feature of Excel. So here we go. We have got the CS ratio figures, and based on this, we'll just do ranking. So the product that generates the highest CS ratio will be placed on top priority. So first, the company will be selling product A. So the demand of product A should be met first. That is the 2,000 units. Then we should move towards product C, and then finally product B. So the company will try to cover its fixed costs firstly by selling product A, then by selling C, and then by selling product B. Instead of selling all three products together in a constant mix, the company will first be trying to sell the 2,000 units. And when it will be selling these 2,000 units, it won't be selling any of these two products. Once it has sold 2,000 units, then it will move towards selling the product C and try to sell 5,000 units of product C. And once it's done with selling 5,000 units of product C, then it will move towards marketing and selling product B at the end. So in that case, it will first try to cover its fixed cost from the very first product that it intends to sell. That is product A in this case. So if it has to find out break even, it first needs to sell product A. So if we need to find out break even in this case, break even units, what we have to do is to pick up the fixed cost and divide it by the contribution per unit of product A rather than their weighted average figure. We won't be using the weighted average figures anymore. Now we have to go for the individual products, and since we are selling product A first, we have to cover $56,000 through product A, which generates a contribution of $6. So 56,000 should be divided by 6 to find out how many units we need, how many units of product A we need to cover this fixed cost. 9,333. But we don't have demand. We don't have demand available for product A, we only have a demand of 2,000 units in the market. So there is no point of producing 9,333 units. We cannot sell them. So it means that we can only sell 2,000 units of product A. So now, first of all, we need to see how much of the fixed cost will be covered by selling product C. So fixed by selling product A, fixed cost covered through product A. The maximum number of units that we can sell of product A are 2,000 units. And from 2,000 units, we can only generate a contribution of $12,000. So now let's move towards the remaining contribution. 56,000 was the total fixed cost, and the remaining fixed cost will be 56,000 minus 12,000. We still have to cover 44,000 of fixed cost, and that we will try to cover using product C. So hope that we sales required from product C to cover fixed cost. So $44,000, the remaining fixed cost will now be covered using product C, which has a contribution of 10. So we need 4,400 units of product C to cover our remaining fixed cost. And we have enough demand available. We have 5,000 units demand available for product C. So we can easily sell 4,400 units to cover our fixed cost. So now we have calculated the break even. The break even will now be sales of product A, the 2,000 units, and sales of product C required to cover the remaining break even. So the sum of the two, 6,400, will be our total break even units, and these will consist of product A and C only. So to cover your fixed cost completely using the ranking approach, we need to sell 6,400 units in total to cover our fixed cost. And if you just multiply these figures, just for the sake of clarification, multiply these figures with the contribution of each of these two products. From product C, we were generating a contribution of 10. So the total contribution will be 44,000 from C. And from 2,000 units, each unit we were generating a contribution of 6,000. So if we add 44 and 12,000, it will be equal to our fixed cost, showing that from 6,400 units, we will be generating $56,000 of contribution, and we will be just able to cover our fixed costs, and we'll be at break even. So that is how we calculate our break-even units in case we are producing products in order of maximum contribution per unit. So if we need to find out the break-even sales revenue, we have to multiply these individual figures with their prices. 4,400 units of C at a price of 25 plus 2,000 units of product A at a price of $10 each. So $130,000 of break-even revenue. A revenue of $130,000 will be required to cover the fixed cost of $56,000. Now, if we need to find out margin of safety in units, we had a total sales, budgeted sales of 10,000, and the break-even sales units are 6,400. So the margin of safety will be 3,600 units. And margin of safety in revenue terms will be 190,000, the budgeted sales figure, minus the break-even sales figure, $60,000. So this is in case we are producing products on a ranking basis. Thank you for watching the video.